Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about adding squares to your page. Let's get started. So we have an empty palette right now, which is great. And we're going to add a few rows and a few columns as we've discussed in the overview. And now we're just going to drag a text square over. And as you can see with the squares, you can add text, video, imagery, forms, whatever. We're going to add a text box first, so we're just going to drag that text box square over into that column and drop it in. It will pop up and you can start editing. I'm just going to type in a little content right here. You can make changes here as you would any Word document. You can adjust the alignment, you can adjust the header size, the color. You can play around in the tool. It's very similar to like a Word document or any of the word processing tools. And you'll hit save for it to populate. And we're just going to drag an image square over into that other column. You can go through your image library that you have, or you can select from your computer someplace and hit open, or you can drag an image straight from your desktop or wherever into that dotted box right there. We're just going to select an image in our library. It will populate, and I'll show you a preview of that. As you can see, the text is on the left, the image is on the right, just like in our editor. And now we're going to adjust by hitting that double bar line. You want to make that text more dominant. You can by just dragging it back and forth to wherever you'd like. And let's add a video. You drag a video square over into that empty row, and you just type in the YouTube video address or the Vimeo URL, and it will populate with your video. Hit add. As you can see, it's taking up the full span right now. We'll add another column so it takes up half of the space, and we'll add another column, and you can stretch those out again with the adjustment bars on the left and right hand sides. I'll show you a preview. And the video is right underneath those two items. Let's add a space. A space is a great visual, so there's less gap. It's not so tightly squoze in together. You can add a line or a space. You can just drag that line in. You can adjust the thickness, and you can choose whatever color you want on the color wheel. Drag up the opacity, or you can drag it down if you want it more opaque. It's really up to you. Again, you can choose any color, and you can choose the thickness. And once you're satisfied, you'll just hit add. And that's a great visual element to break up space. We'll show you what it looks like right now. Now we'll delete that out and we'll add a space. So we'll just hit the little red garbage can, and we will drag a space in here. And you can adjust it by grabbing that black bar. You can make it as big or as small as you'd like. Show a preview. And you see that large gap right there. Again, you can adjust the space or lines at however thick or thin you'd like. We'll add something here. We'll add a new column. So now there's two. We will now add a map by dragging that map square in. Put in your address. So we're going to add in the SquareHook headquarters. We're going to type that in. And once you're done, you will hit add for that map to populate. There's your map. There's our headquarters right there. Now we'll add a form by dragging the form box over into this empty column. And you can customize this form. You can title this form. You can have as many forms as you want on your website. It's a smart idea to add a title of that form so you know exactly where that form is coming from. And you can populate whatever you'd like in your form. You can add a name, an email, phone number. You can ask any kind of information you'd like. You can choose whether or not you want that element to be required or not for them to submit the form, which is a great idea if you really need that information. You can go into add an item and you can add text, a drop down, a CAPTCHA, a number of different things. And you can drag those items up or down depending on the order you'd like in your form. So I'll just populate a little bit of information and move it up. I'll populate the message area, and I'm not going to require that area. And you can choose who you want to have that form sent to. You can customize it to go to any one person to be your administrator for that form, where it will go directly to their email to notify them that you have a form submitted. And you can customize the submit response after somebody fills out a form. You can customize the response, thanking them for their time for filling out your form. So we're just going to fill this in a little bit, customize this form. And once you're happy with it, you'll hit save, and your form is populated. Pretty neat. Show you a page preview. Go down a little bit, and you can see there's our map and there's our form. And we're definitely going to need to add a space between those rows right there. And you can see if I try to hit submit without filling out the required information, it will notify the person on that page, hey, that form hasn't been submitted because you haven't filled in all the elements that we need. So I'm going to add a space in here. And I'm going to add another row. You can add in a Google Plus form, or you can just type in the URL of a form that you've previously created and you can drag it right in there if you'd like. And we're going to add a carousel. Carousels are great for visual purposes. You can just start adding images by selecting the image. Click on the no image right there, and it'll bring you into their image library. We're just going to choose something from our library currently. And you can add a title to that image. As it scrolls, you can title it. So we're going to add a title. You can also add a description or a URL if you want it to be clicked through. We're going to add a couple more images in here. We'll select the same image over and over again. But make sure as you add your images that your images are all the same size. It will act differently if your images are small then big, then small then big. Your carousel will not be a consistent rotating carousel. That's the case. So make sure your images are all the same size. Again, we'll add one more image and populate that title. Once we're happy with what we have, we'll hit save, and there's our carousel. Our remove column, so now it's taking up equal space. Now, if you want to go in and change some of your imagery or your text or whatever, just double click on that image. Just click on it and it will come up with the image. Here you can add a title to that image. You can add an alt tag if you like. Which are really great for SEO purposes as well as providing people with disabilities the understanding of what page they're on. You can also add a URL. So if you want it to be a click-through item, you can add that URL. If you want to edit your form at any time, just double click on that form and you can start editing. So nothing is ever set in stone here. You can publish it as many times as you want. You can go in and edit it at your leisure. You can go in, same thing with the map, you can type in a new address. If you happen to change locations or for some reason you want to change the map, you can. You can do the same thing with the video. Type in a different URL and replace out the video with something different. It's really up to you. Once you're done with your page, you'll hit publish and you'll be ready to go. And that's a little bit about adding squares and moving them around. Hope that helps. Happy creating.